Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to Bracketology. Now, before we get started, there's one thing that y'all have basically in every comment section. I see this question being asked, and it's when is the fan bracketology coming back? Well, I hadn't really thought about it, but to answer that question, it's coming back right now. It's coming back right now. I am gonna make it right now. Hold on. I just gotta copy all of this into a new Google Drawing, and then you guys can do your own bracketology however you see fit. I'm going to put a link to this bracket template in the description. If you want to go have fun and make your own bracket, you can. Just don't. I know you guys are going to anyway, but just try to make it fun for everyone. Don't be the guy that ruins it. I'm gonna take the drop shadow off because the drop shadow makes the bracket kind of laggy. I keep the drop shadow on for mine just because it looks better. Like the production value looks better on the dock. But it's gonna be a really laggy for y'all, so I'm gonna take the drop shadow off. But anyway, let's let's jump into it. Let's jump straight into it. Here is what the new bracket looks like. Let's go over some seeds. So I came out with my own poll on my Indiana Express account, and the seeds are going to reflect the results of that poll. 1 seeds: Purdue, Arizona, Houston, and Alabama. Purdue, of course, lost to my Indiana Hoosiers. I was at that game, if you didn't know. I have a vlog up. You really should watch it. It is probably the best vlog I've ever made. We stormed the court. It was a great game. But Purdue is still 22-2, and definitely 1 seed worthy. My number 1 overall seed is Arizona. My number 1 ranked team, but I'm gonna keep Purdue at the number 1 overall seed. It doesn't really matter, honestly. But Purdue, Arizona, 21-3. They continue to play very well. They haven't lost in a minute. I have them as another 1 seed. Alabama, an interesting team in the sense that they got embarrassed against Oklahoma, but they've still been playing fine. They just won at LSU, and they beat Vanderbilt earlier in the week, so they're still at 20-3. I have them on the 1 line. And Houston, I also have them on the 1 line. Since they lost to Temple on January 22nd, they've been all business, beating UCF, they beat Houston, they beat Wichita State, and they beat Temple. So they beat Temple in the rematch. So they're still a really strong team at 22-2. So Houston I have as a 1, back on the 1 line. 2 seeds: Virginia, UCLA, Tennessee, Texas. I think that's fair. In fact, the AP has these teams rated 5-8, and I have these teams rated 5-8. A little bit mismatched order, but it doesn't really matter. They're all 2 seeds. Virginia still 17-4. They did suffer a loss to their arch rival Virginia Tech. They will play NC State and Duke this week, 2 home games. We'll see how they do against 2 pretty good teams. Tennessee, they had a rough week, okay? They finished January by beating Texas 82-71. They were ranked number 2, and then they had 2 rough games. They lost to Florida at Florida. Like I said, a really tough team that needed a win. I wouldn't be too bad about that. And this game against Auburn, okay, they won. They beat Auburn, a ranked Auburn, 46-43. It was an ugly defensive game. IU scored more points at halftime than these 2 did all game. I know Tennessee's a defensive style team, but this was just an ugly game. If you want to look at the box score, Tennessee shot 27% from the field. Auburn shot 23%. That's not very good. So Tennessee did manage to get the win at home. They're still 19-4, and they have that win over a fellow 2 seed Texas, so I'm going to keep them there. How about Texas? How did they do? Well, they had a great week. They took down Baylor, a ranked Baylor, on Monday at home, 76-71, and then they took down a ranked Kansas State. Kansas State ranked 7th, took them down on the road, 69-66. Texas has really come into their own. They had that Chris Beard drama, and they kind of slipped for a little bit. But, I mean, since then, they've been all business. And they've been winning games in all different types of waves. They've won games with defense, like they beat Oklahoma State 56-46. And then they can win games with offense, like they have the ability to outscore teams. The only real loss they've had is that Tennessee loss in recent memory. So, Texas playing really well. And then UCLA. Continuing to roll. They lost to Arizona, but since they lost to Arizona and USC, but they rebounded with 2 good games this past week, beating Washington and Washington State. So 19-4. I'm gonna still have UCLA ranked among the elites. I think they're in that range. 3 seeds. We have Kansas State. I forgot who else I had. Kansas State. Marquette and St. Mary's. I'm going to talk about Marquette and St. Mary's. Marquette and St. Mary's are polar opposite teams. Marquette boasts the number 4 offense in the country and a respectable defense in about the 50s. Not great, but good enough to get the job done. St. Mary's the exact opposite. They host the 4th best defense in the country and around the 40s in offense, which is still pretty decent. 2 specializing teams that have been playing extremely well as of late. Marquette now in the top 10 in the AP poll. They lost to Xavier on the 15th of January, but since then, all business. Beating Providence, Seton Hall, DePaul, Villanova, and Butler all in a row. They are at UConn this Tuesday and at Georgetown Saturday. At UConn will be a tough game, but I think they're good for it. Marquette's been looking like a very good team. As for St. Mary's, they took down what to be honest is becoming a really good rivalry, which is Gonzaga. They took down Gonzaga in overtime at home. That was a terrific game. I don't know if any of y'all watched that game, but Gonzaga was up for a majority of that game with St. Mary's. The defense held them in there. Gonzaga's lead never got too big, and St. Mary's crawled back and tied it at the end, won it in overtime. St. Mary's is a terrific team. And Kansas and Kansas State, they both had rough weeks. They did. Kansas got blown out at Iowa State. Actually, these two played each other earlier in the week. Kansas beating Kansas State at home, 90-78. That was a really good win for Kansas, revenge win. And then getting blown out at Iowa State. So, tough week for Kansas. They host Texas tonight at 9 p.m. That will be a good game. If I had to make my pick right now, Texas is playing a lot better. Texas is playing. But it is at Allen Fieldhouse. I don't know. Kansas has lost games at Allen Fieldhouse. It's a weekday game. I think that might favor Texas. I'm going to go Texas. I think Texas wins that one. That's just my pick. As for Kansas State, of course, they lost the game to Kansas and then lost to Texas. So 2 losses for them. They will play TCU tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So I have them on the 3 line. What are we at? 8 minutes. 4 seeds. 4 seeds. Iowa State, Indiana, Xavier, and Baylor. Baylor is just another one of those Big 12 teams that they're just good. I mean, there are just a bunch of Big 12 teams that they're just good. Baylor, of course, they had a win over Arkansas. They lost the game to Texas, but they did beat Texas Tech. Still a really good team. I had them in a 3, bumped them down to a 4. Iowa State. Okay, I have no idea whether or not Iowa State's good. I literally don't. I'm starting to lean towards they're pretty good, Jack. So they lost to Missouri. They were ranked in the top 10. Then they lost to Missouri and Texas Tech, but they rebounded and mopped Kansas by 15 on their at home. When Iowa State's on, they're a good team. They're just a really good team. And Indiana, they're hot, man. I'm telling you right now, they're hot. You don't want to play them. Since that Penn State loss, 6-1, and just beat the number 1 team in the country. It was looking like no one could beat Purdue. That's just the way they've been playing this year. No one can beat Purdue. I mean, here's the thing. If your team has an average big man, you're losing to Purdue. It doesn't matter how good the rest of your team is. If your team has an average big man, you're losing to Purdue. The only two teams to beat Purdue, IU and Rutgers, both have really good big men. Trace Jackson Davis, terrific player, and Amarier for Rutgers is a really good player. But if you don't have a good big man, you're not beating Purdue. And they have been terrific on the road, but everyone was like, if Purdue's losing another game this regular season, it's going to be this game. And the game, IU was favored by 1.5, I saw, which, well, it wasn't actually an upset. Indiana was favored. It's the number one fucking ranked team in the country. I saw a lot of, I'm going to make a video about this for Bloomington Buddies. I'm going to make a video on our podcast channel about just the game itself. But there were people that are like, oh, why did they rush the court? It's the number one ranked team in the country, dude. Come on. Like, settle down. But I'm telling you, they're heating up. I know they lost earlier in the week to Maryland. Trap game. Don't worry about it. And now they got to keep what is really going to be crucial for the rest of IU season. Don't rest on your laurels of this game, because that's what they did last year. Last year they were like 13-5 when they beat Purdue. They had a really good record. And then they had a hangover game and they lost to Michigan. And it started a spiral of a losing streak. The type of losing streak they had earlier in the year to Iowa and Northwestern, Penn State. That hangover game started that kind of spiral, and sooner or later they were like 16-10, fighting for a bubble. I don't think that they're going to be on the bubble at all. I think they're pretty much safely in at this point. But don't lose to Rutgers tomorrow. Come out and beat Rutgers, and then you got a wild break until you play Michigan Saturday on the road. Go out, beat Rutgers, don't have a hangover after this game. And I'm confident they can do that. But terrific. IU's playing great, man. They're playing just as well as any team in the country. Find me any team in the country that's played better over the last month. I'm just saying, they're playing like one of the best teams in the country. They're playing just as well as Purdue, just as well as Alabama, just as well as Texas, Tennessee, UC, you name it. IU's playing just as well as they are. Who else is on the 4 line that I didn't talk about? Oh, Xavier. They're still playing really well. IU beat Xavier earlier in the year, but these are two really evenly matched teams. They blew the brakes off of St. John's yesterday and beat a good Providence team in overtime. Xavier's, they're good. And Baylor. They're still a good team. 5 seeds, Rutgers. They're ranked now number 1 or number 2 defense. I can't remember in college basketball. And their offense isn't great, but it's good enough to get the job done. And they've also been playing just as well as a lot of teams. They have the same record as IU overall, and they boast a great defense and a great team. Rutgers has some ballers, so watch out for them because they're a really strong team that's been battle tested all year. Gonzaga, 19-5, still really good. St. Mary's. That St. Mary's game was tough. I wouldn't hold that over their head because St. Mary's is a really tough team, and they're gonna get another shot at St. Mary's on Saturday the 25th at home. So they will get another shot at St. Mary's, and they're 2 games back of St. Mary's for the conference lead. So what they would need is St. Mary's to lose a game along the way, and then they would need to obviously beat them at home for a tie. I'm not really sure that would work, but Gonzaga, they have some home games coming up. They've got San Francisco and BYU, 2 tough teams, but both at home. At Loyola Marymount, they're not going to lose to Loyola Marymount again. I don't think Gonzaga's going to let that happen. They're still really good. They're not as good as the Gonzaga of years past, but they're still a strong team. Who else? Who are my 5 seeds? Who do I have down here? Oh, Miami. They got to win on the road against Clemson. Clemson's not that great. I'm saying they're overrated, but good win for Miami. They're still playing really well. They also have a great record, 18-5. And then TCU, 17-6. They're falling a little bit back of that top pack in the Big 12. Yeah, they lost to Mississippi State, which is a really tough loss, and they're not in the Big 12, but they lost to Oklahoma State on the road. I picked that game right. Now they got to go at Kansas State. Look at this upcoming schedule. Kansas State, Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Kansas. TCU, they'll make the tournament, but they've got some tough games coming ahead. They're slipping behind the main pack. I'm going to switch these two just so we don't have a conference matchup. Yeah. Okay, now. Okay, I'll do 6 seeds, and then I got to say something. Providence, still a really good team, 17-6. Illinois, still up there in the Big Ten. They're in that hodgepodge with everyone, and they've been playing well. They did just lose to Iowa. That ticket beef was hilarious when the Illinois student section should have posed as like a Boys and Girls Club, and Iowa canceled their tickets and then brought the actual Boys and Girls Club of Iowa to there and then beat them. That was funny. Iowa's been rising. But Illinois is still a really strong team. Who else? UConn, still doing all right. And Duke beat UNC. They've got a pretty good record. So shout out Duke. All right. Seeds 7 through 10 is a giant clusterfuck of teams. Seeds 7 through 10, fuck if I know who's going to win any of those matchups. It's a group of, 16 teams. 4 seeds, 7, 8, 9, 10. These 16 teams on any day could beat some of the best teams of the country or lose to whoever the hell. And I feel like they're all good and bad at the same time. Those 16 teams: San Diego State, Pitt, Kentucky, Nevada, Iowa, NC State, USC, New Mexico, UNC, Michigan State, Missouri, Creighton, Maryland, Auburn, Northwestern, Memphis. Those 16 teams are all got like the same record, and they're just I don't know if I could differentiate one from the other with how good they are. All 16 of those teams are good, but all 16 of those teams aren't good enough sometimes. I don't know what to think of any of them. So take your pick with which one of those you like, because I don't really know. I mean, the teams that have been playing really well, Pitt, they got a road win over UNC. That was a great game for anyone that watched that game. San Diego State, doing all right. Nevada's doing fine. Creighton, I will say Creighton's rebounded. Creighton was on the edge of the tournament for me, but they have started to win some games. They started to string some wins together, so good for Creighton. They're probably the best team in this little group. Missouri, I have no idea whether they're going to go out and beat one of the best teams in the country or lose to a nobody. Michigan State, they've had a really tough schedule. They're in the basically everyone in the Big Ten and the Big 12 has a tough schedule all the time. But Michigan State's going through a little bit of a patch. They lost 3 of their last 4. They lost to IU, Purdue, and Rutgers, all on the road. I will say that. In February, they have Maryland at home, and then Ohio State on the road, and then Minnesota at home. Those are 3 winnable games for Michigan State. Michigan State actually has a pretty easy back half of the Big Ten here. Home against Maryland, at Ohio State, home against Minnesota, at Michigan, home against Indiana, at Iowa, at Nebraska. That's a pretty favorable stretch in the Big Ten. So Michigan State could be rebounding here a little bit soon. They kind of got hammered with some tough games after tough games. UNC, I don't know what to think of UNC, man. I don't. I have no idea. I'll say this. The UNC team I saw in person when IU played them did not look that great. IU had their way with them in that game. The UNC team I saw did not look too amazing. And they just lost a tough game on the road to Duke. But before that, I mean, they beat NC State. Before that, they were actually on kind of a roll. They had won 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then lost to Pitt and Duke this week. So UNC was rebounding and then lost 2 games. So they're 15-8 at Wake Forest tomorrow. That's a crucial game for both those teams. So we'll see how they contribute there. Who else do I want to talk about? Maryland's a good team. Northwestern is Northwestern. A lot of people thought Northwestern. So what happened with Northwestern is they upset some teams. They didn't have a very good out of conference showing. Their out of conference showing, I mean, they lost to Auburn. They got mauled by Pitt. And everyone's like, okay, Northwestern's probably not going to be that great. Well, then they upset Michigan State. And everyone's like, okay, fine. They got murdered by Ohio State. But then they beat Illinois and Northwestern. Basically, they were winning some decently hard games. And then they had 2 games postponed. And then they went out and they won. They were basically standing at the top of the Big Ten or whatever. And I don't know. They've just been iffy this year. You never know what Northwestern team you're going to get. But they're 7-5 in conference, 16-7. That's good enough for a tournament bid for me. Northwestern is the type of team where, like, if you sleep on them, they'll win. But if you take them seriously, you should be able to beat them. And then some sleepers. I mean, Oral Roberts. Watch out for him, man. They still have Max Asmus from that one tournament team, and he's a senior now. I think he was a sophomore back when Oral Roberts went on that run. Charleston's been slipping. They lost 2 games to Hofstra and someone else. Florida Atlantic also slipping. They were 21-1. They lost to UAB. Still doing pretty good though. What other sleepers do we have? VCU still playing strong. Arkansas trying to fight their way back in the SEC. I think they'll make the tournament. I wouldn't be too worried if I was an Arkansas fan. Teams that are in dire straits, Ohio State, they have a losing record now, and they have a worse Big Ten record than Nebraska. So, Ohio State, you're going to need to start pulling it together if you want to scratch out a tournament bid. Who else? I don't know. Southern Miss is playing really well. They've reached the 20-win mark. That's all I really got. Let's make some picks, shall we? This video's already 22 minutes. My God, I'm sorry. All right, Purdue will beat UNC Asheville, who's starting to be a good team in the Big South. This is so laggy. I'm going to take USC over New Mexico. I don't really know how good. I know New Mexico's got talent and potential, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna take USC. I'm taking. See, here's the thing. I feel like Charleston's the type of team that could beat Rutgers, because Rutgers is like a really strong defensive team, but Charleston shoots the 3 really well, and if they could just stay behind the defense and shoot their 3s, they could be fine. I'm gonna take Rutgers though. I think Rutgers is still just too strong. They're looking really good right now. I'm taking Iowa State over Morehead State. I think that's fair. I'll take UConn. I feel like I'm going to be taking a lot of favorites. I don't know why. I'm going to take Kansas State. Utah Valley has been playing really well. Kentucky, San Diego State. I'm going to take Kentucky. I feel like if there are these matchups where it's like UNC's a 10 seed, Kentucky's a 10 seed, Duke's like a 6, I feel like those teams could thrive in those situations. I'm going to take Virginia over UCSB. Okay. I'm going to take Bama over Norfolk State. Memphis and Northwestern. I'm going to take Northwestern. Miami. I'm going to take Miami. I'm trying to find upsets, man. I'm trying to find upsets. There's no, like... I don't know. I'm trying to find upsets. Screw it, Iona. Because Baylor... I feel like when Baylor is not very good on defense this year. They have a really strong offense, but I feel like when they're not on their game, they're really not on their game. Think about last year when they, think about last year when they just completely fell out flat against North Carolina and were down like 30, and then had to roar back, but like Baylor has upset. Baylor's either going really far or getting upset. I'm saying that right now. Taking Arkansas over Providence. I think they're the more talented team. Arkansas's got a lot of talent, but they're just really young. So yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out. Marquette, definitely. Marquette, strong offense, and the defense is serviceable. So easy there. I'm taking Michigan State over Missouri. I just think they're a better team. Michigan State's gonna start coming together, I feel like. Especially when they get Malik Hall back. Malik Hall's been hurt, so if he starts coming into his own, you could see that. Texas, easy. Texas is playing really strong. Okay. Back up here. Arizona. Taking them. Iowa, NC State. I'll take see, here's the thing about Iowa. They rank second in offense. Only team that ranks higher than them in offense is Purdue. They're like 140th in defense. If they have a slow night offensively, they lose. That's just how it happens. So NC State, more well rounded. Taking Oral Roberts. I'm doing it. Gonzaga, they're a good team, but they have been upset already this year by Loyola Marymount. So, sorry. I like Oral Roberts. Indiana is definitely beating UMass Lowell, for sure. Duke FAU, I don't think Duke's going to come out flat. I think they're going to win that one. Kansas, I think, would beat Samford. Kansas has been playing kind of iffy now. I don't really know about them. Like they're not their normal Kansas self. Like past Kansas teams have been better. It's kind of just Jalen Wilson out there carrying. Jalen Wilson might be the best player in the country. Besides Zach Edey, Jalen Wilson might be the best player in the country. I mean, he's a terrific player to watch. Pitt and Nevada, give me Pitt. Give me Pitt. UCLA played Akron last year. I feel like did they? I might be wrong. I feel like they played Akron in the tournament. Yeah, they did. They played Akron in the tournament last year and almost lost. So, Houston is winning. I definitely think Maryland's better than Auburn. I don't think I've just not been impressed with Auburn this year. I really haven't. They started the year real strong, but they hadn't really played that many great teams. I don't trust them. I mean, it's like I feel like they're 17-6, but like they have a loss to Georgia. Oh wait, do they? Did I just cap? Yeah, they do. They have a loss to Georgia. I mean, I don't know. They have a bad loss to A&M. Oh, I put the wrong team. Damn it. Maryland looks strong. So I'm gonna take Maryland. TCU, I'm gonna take Southern Miss, and the reason I'm gonna take Southern Miss, they've won 20 games. And TCU kind of slipping a little bit now. So I'm gonna take Southern Miss. I'm gonna take Xavier, and then Illinois is another one of those teams where you don't really know who you're gonna face. Like they beat Texas earlier in the year, but then they've had some slower games. I'm still gonna take them though. If they play together and as a team, they're dangerous. Damn it. Okay, St. Mary's, Colgate. Definitely taking St. Mary's. St. Mary's is no joke, man. They're no joke. Definitely Gales. Creighton, I'm gonna take Creighton. Creighton's been playing a lot better than UNC. As of late, and then I'll take Tennessee over. I will say, Kennesaw State almost beat IU at IU. That was when IU was in that stretch where they had players hurt and they were just playing awfully. But Kennesaw State's not terrible. They shoot the three a lot. Like I think 70% of their points come from three. If they get hot, watch out. But Tennessee should be able to handle them. Okay, round number 2. I am taking Purdue over. That's like I say. If they have a below average big man, if they have an average big man, they're not winning. I'll take Iowa State. I feel like Iowa State when they get on, they're on. Kansas State, UConn. I'm gonna take Kansas State. Keontae Johnson can just take over a game when he needs to. He's that good of a player. I'm gonna take Kentucky. They got Calipari still as the coach. They still have Sheboy. I feel like we're counting Kentucky out way too early. Virginia also, you never know what Virginia team's going to show up in the tournament. This team did lose to a 16 seed. Let's not forget that. Alabama over Northwestern. Miami over Iona. Like I said, I've been basically dick riding Miami all year. Marquette, easy. And then, never count out Izzo, but yeah, never count out Izzo, but yeah, never count out Izzo, but Texas. I like the Horns. Up here, we're gonna go Arizona. And we're gonna go IU. Rematch. Boy, would I love another crack at Arizona. I would love another. As an IU fan, I want another crack at Arizona. Because they were playing some of the dirtiest basketball I had ever seen when they played at IU. Their big man, Omar Ballo or whatever, he's like 7'1" from the Congo, swinging elbows and fouling every play. Like, he should have mugged TJD every play. And the refs that was some of the worst reffing I've seen. Like, that wasn't the reason IU lost. But all I'm saying is I want another shot at Arizona. I'm taking Duke. Duke lost to Kansas earlier in the year, but it was a really close game. And I think if Duke comes together come tournament time, they can win. And you know what? I'm taking Pitt. Part of the reason. I feel like every year the ACC's kind of coming into the ACC. It's like kind of mid coming into, like last year the ACC, and then the ACC comes out and they beat everyone. I don't get what it is. And UCLA has had some of those games where it's like, what kind of team is showing up today? That's what I'm saying. UCLA's had those types of games. Like they lost, like who'd they lose to? They lost to USC by like a ton. And then earlier in the year they lost to Baylor and Illinois. So like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like every year I trust UCLA and they let me down. So, Pitt. And I'm taking Maryland. And you know why? I think the pressure is going to be too much for Houston this tournament. Because the Final Four is in Houston, and I'm like, if they can get there, then they're winning it all. But the thing is they made the Elite Eight last year, Final Four the year before. This is their year. I feel like they're going to feel that pressure. I feel that pressure's mounting on them. And they've already cracked at points this season. They lost to Temple. I mean, I don't know what they lost to Temple. That pressure's. I feel like they're not gonna perform. I think they're a great team. I don't know if I would trust them come March. Maryland's a really strong team. I'll take Xavier. I mean, they've been playing really well, and they've been without Fremantle, one of the best players. Definitely St. Mary's. They're just a solid team, man. They're just a really solid team. And then Tennessee. Tennessee, St. Mary's, two really strong defensive teams. They'd be pretty low scoring in that game. Okay. I am going to take Purdue over Iowa State. I'm going to take I'm going to take Kansas State. I still got faith in them. That might end at some point, the Kansas State faith, but it's still there now. Bama. Even though I'm not a huge Bama fan, I think they're overall better than Miami. And it's going to be Texas. Tough game, man. Marquette, Texas. Shaka Smart, too, against his... Oh, that'd be a great matchup. Marquette and Texas. Because Shaka Smart used to coach at Texas. And yeah, I'm not trusting Shaka Smart in the tournament that far. I mean, he's a decent coach, but... I'm going to take Texas. If we get another crack at Arizona, we're beating them. I'm sorry. If we get another crack at them, they got another thing coming. Duke and Pitt. Duke. Actually, okay, I completely screwed this up. Okay, what the hell? Alright, is it still centered? Kinda. Hold on. Ah, damn it. Fuck. When I get too many logos on here, the lag just becomes insurmountable. I mean, just insurmountable amounts of lag. Okay, that looks good. Oh, that's because I moved this. All right, let's just go. I'll take Duke just because that's a team that you just gotta trust in the tournament. Okay, Maryland and Xavier. I will take Xavier. Yeah, IU has barely lost to anyone when fully healthy, and Xavier damn near beat him. So, and I'm gonna take St. Mary's because Tennessee's offense is it's been worrying me, and St. Mary's actually has a higher offensive efficiency than Tennessee. So St. Mary's. Okay, to go to the Final Four, I'm going to take Purdue. I'm going to take Purdue. Kansas State, good team, but Purdue is they're good. They're good. Texas, I think would beat Alabama. Yeah, I just think they would. Texas and Purdue, they've both been playing really well. Sorry, this is taking a bit. Xavier St. Mary's. Ooh, I don't know. Am I really about to take St. Mary's to the Final Four? I don't know. I really don't know. They just look really good, man. If you watch them play, they're solid. The only really team that's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, we're doing it. St. Mary's. Final Four. This bracket just seems kind of whack with some of these teams. It just does. I mean, I really don't know. All right, IU Duke. Screw it, Hoosiers. I keep moving the damn back. I'm taking IU. I'm doing it. They're a better. There's no doubt in my mind they're a better team than Duke. There's just no doubt in my mind they're a better team than Duke. So, ooh, we would get another crack at St. Mary's too. St. Mary's beat the shit out of IU last year in the first round. Partly because IU had like a real big fucked up like travel schedule, but I mean it still won. Okay, Purdue and Texas. I'm gonna take Purdue. IU St. Mary's. IU's coming together. What? Oh, what do we have here? What is this? Holy cow! I mean, the state would burn down. The state would burn down. I mean, the state's going up in flames if this game happens. I don't think you guys realize how much this game means to the state of Indiana. Did y'all watch that game? Did y'all watch that IU Purdue game? The game of basketball just means so much in the state of Indiana, especially when these two teams play. And at Mackey, it's going to be equally as loud. It's going to be just as loud. I like to toot my horn about how my Assembly Hall is way better than Mackey Arena. Purdue's going to be just as loud. But okay, here's what I'm thinking. IU beat them at home. I don't think IU's going to win. All I'm going to say, when IU plays at Mackey, Purdue's out for blood. They're out for blood. I mean, I don't see IU winning that game. I mean, Purdue's just going to be out for blood. Now, these two teams could meet in the Big Ten tournament, and they could meet. This could be their fourth matchup. I don't know. I really don't. But all I'm saying is Purdue's a very schemey-based team. They just run a scheme for Zach Edey, and it usually works. But when you see that scheme more than once, and you keep seeing that scheme, I don't know. You know what? It's a biased pick. I'm high. We just beat the #1 team. You're not knocking me off. We're winning the national title. That. Hate it if you must, but the Hoosiers are legit. Like I've said in past brackets, you could pick any team like 1 through 6, and I would be like, okay, yeah, they can win the national title. There are no clear-cut favorites this year. Anyone can win it, so I'm gonna go with my school. So hate me if you must, but I love y'all. See you next time.